Yeah. When is that? When do you want a number? Oh, yeah, that's not a problem. I can have something to you in a couple weeks. Yeah, it just came through. Yep, biddocs.pdf. Yeah, I'll get you a number here in a couple weeks. Yeah, we got time. Yep. Thanks. Bye. Hey everyone, Backpack Hack here coming at you with another trail tip. One of the things I've really wanted to do, even out here in the wilderness, in the backcountry, is stay connected. Yes, I know, some people want to completely disconnect and get away from technology. But there's two reasons I wanted to be able to connect. First, I want to be able to run a business, which is what I do. I own my own business, so I need to stay connected. And my phone is my lifeline. And I'm always worried that I'm going to get a phone call, I don't have signal out here, somebody's going to leave a message, and by the time I get to where I'm connected and return the phone call, I've lost business. The other reason I want to be able to connect is for emergency purposes. Maybe there's a medical situation here in the backcountry, or like a situation that happened a few years ago where we took gunfire into the campground. Yes, 4 shots were fired into the campground. One of them I heard down by the riverbank, and another one, not more than 30-40 feet from me, I heard ripple through the trees. Not that I expect law enforcement to go out and look through millions of acres try to find somebody, but at least to make a report that there is somebody out there shooting at a campground. So I wanted that connectivity. Last year I came out with a WeBoost cell phone booster, hoping that it would work here in the campground. Sometimes it would tell me I had a signal, but I couldn't do anything. There is a lookout a couple miles up the road where without a cell phone booster, I couldn't make a phone call. I might get connected enough just to make and take text messages, but no phone call, no internet connection, nothing. With the WeBoost, that dramatically increased. I was able to get a good signal and connect with cell phone and internet probably 85 to 95% of the time up there at the top of the hill. But still, to have to pack everything up and drive to the top of the hill just to make a phone call in an emergency, that's time consuming. You know what they say when seconds count. So when I got home last year, I decided to look into a technology that I had looked into quite a while ago. And this is nothing new, but I decided that it had matured enough since then to be able to do what I wanted to do, which is to connect me out here in the backcountry. Both give me internet and phone service. And that is Starlink. Now you may think, well, Starlink is an internet provider, aren't they? How do you make phone calls? I'll get to more of that later. But I've dropped a dime on a Starlink and have brought it out here, and this is my review of the Starlink Mini. I'm going to read the tech specs because I can't memorize them. It's 11 3/4 inches long, 10 1/4 inches wide, and without the mounting plate in here, it's only 1.5 inches thick. So it is about the same size as my laptop. So it's very, very light, very, very compact, and very, very portable. It weighs 2.5 pounds. It uses 25 to 40 watts of power, and it runs on anywhere from 12 to 48 volts. Even though this is rated to run on 12 volts DC, it's not happy with automotive DC, like if you plugged it into your cigarette lighter or power port of your vehicle, because that's an unregulated voltage. It can go up and down with the voltage of the battery, and it doesn't like that, especially when it starts dropping down below 12 volts. You could get dropped from service. So you need some sort of regulated 12 volt power supply to run this. So here's how I supply power to this dish. Right out of the box, it comes with a 15 meter or about 50 foot DC power cord that you can plug into a mains outlet in your house. However, that's not very handy out here in the middle of the sticks, where the nearest electrical outlet is probably about 20 miles away. When you turn the dish over, there are 2 ports, one for power and one for a Cat 5. This device has the Wi-Fi router built right into it. You don't need a separate router. So you supply power to this, connect, aim it at the satellites, and you're online. If you don't want to use the router that's built into this, let's say you want to remotely mount this and use a router inside your house, you can disconnect the Wi-Fi that's built into this and then plug a Cat 5 into this and use that to drive your data to your Wi-Fi router. You will still need to have power, so if you want to use that configuration with a second router or a different router, you have to have 2 cables. But the nice thing about this is it is so simple and so low power that it's absolutely amazing. What I use to drive this is this Anker Prime 27650. This will put out up to 20 volts. So it has no problem supplying 20 volts to make this run very smoothly and very stable. What is very, very important to know is you need a special cord. You need one with a USB-C power delivery, and you need one to tell the bank to supply 20 volts. Because there is no communication, this is strictly a DC 5521 connection. So all you need to do is plug this in, hook this up to the battery bank, and it should turn on. I don't know if you can see it. To make sure that the dish is working, you're not going to be able to see this, but this little slot right here has a purplish blue LED, and it's really hard to see, especially here in the sun. But when it's blinking, it's trying to find service. It's not going to because it's aimed in the wrong direction. However, if it does connect, that will become a solid blue light, and you can see that you are connected. But this is all I really need to get connected anywhere I have an open view of the sky. When I bought the Dishy late last year, I was offered 2 data plans, an unlimited data for $165 a month, or a 50 gigabyte data per month or billing cycle for $50 a month, with the option of an extra gig per dollar after that. However, since I have been using this, I've been offered 2 other plans. One is 10 gigabytes for $10 a month and $2 per gigabyte after that 10, which might be great for if you're just going to use it for a weekend or 2 or a couple of days. That might be just fine. While I was out here, I got an email from Starlink saying that they're offering a $5 suspension plan to where you don't have any data, but you can use the dish in an emergency. You can activate it with the app on your phone, something you can't do if you have paused the service. What I mean by pausing the service is if you have this activated and you're using data, sometime during your billing cycle, you can actually, what they call, pause your service, which means at the end of your billing cycle, you will have no data. They will turn off your ability to use this, but you still have your account, you're still registered with it, it's still your dish, and at any time after it shuts off, you can turn it back on. So that's very convenient for people who don't need this all the time, like me. I only really need this when I'm out traveling like this. When I'm at home, I have my internet at home, so I don't need this. So I pause it for the time periods that I don't need it. So that will save you some money. It's not like a satellite phone, something like that, that you have to pay for it month after month after month for it to just sit in a drawer, and then when you actually come out into the wild and you need that service, you have it. You can turn it on for the time that you need it per billing cycle. Something about billing cycles I want to tell you about. When you first get your dish and you activate it and you turn it on, that date is your billing cycle statement date. That cannot be changed. So be very careful if that makes a difference to you. If you're just going to turn this on and use it all the time, then your billing cycle won't make any difference. But for me, it does. I have a lot of personal things going on right around the end and the first of the month. So it's very, very rare that I'm gone from home during the first or the end of the month. So what I wanted to do is get this activated on the first of the month so my billing cycle starts on the second of the month. That way, I don't have to pay for a month to start a trip out here and then pay for a month after I get out here. I'm not splitting my time out here between 2 billing cycles. I have 1 billing cycle, I can activate it, and I can use it, and then I can pause it as I get home or get close to home. One other thing about pausing is once you have service and you've paid for that billing cycle of service, you can pause it right away. So let's say today is my billing cycle starting date. I want to use, let's say, the unlimited plan. So I pay $165. I have an unlimited data. I can use that $165 worth of data at any time in that billing cycle. But also during that billing cycle, I can pause it. And since I've already paid until the end of my billing cycle, it will still remain active. So I can turn it on, pay for it, pause it, and then no matter what happens at the end of my billing cycle, a month from that time, it gets put on pause. Another thing about turning it on in the middle of your billing cycle, let's say, like me, my billing cycle is on the 2nd. It starts on the 2nd of the month. Let's say I have it paused, and on the 15th, I turn it on for a 50 gigabyte plan. I don't get that 50 gigabytes. It's prorated. So I get 25 gigabytes for $25. And then again, it's $1 gigabyte after that. So this is a little bit of information that might make a difference about when you activate your Starlink, because when you activate it, register it, and start service, that date cannot be changed. I chose the Mini for several reasons. First off, by choosing the roam plans instead of like the residential, I can pause the service. I can change my service anywhere in the middle. Another thing you can do with your services that are available to you is switch in the middle of your billing cycle or unpause it with a different plan. Since I chose the 50 gigabyte plan, I'm not locked into that. I could right now change that to an unlimited plan. However, my needs are simple, so I don't really need unlimited. 50 gigabytes is plenty for me. So I have the option of toggling between the 4 plans that are available to me at any time. I don't have to wait until my billing cycle ends. I'm on a 50 gigabyte plan right now. If I wanted to, I could get on the app, change it to a $165 plan for unlimited data, and it bills me, and I have unlimited data. However, 50 gigabytes is more than enough for me. I am not streaming videos all the time. I'm not watching 4K videos. I'm not playing high-definition games online where latency is an issue. This is servicing me just fine. If those are things that you do where you need a lot of data, maybe a bigger dish is probably better for you. But for me, my needs are simple. I want to connect, check my emails, check my voicemails, check my text messages, look at the weather, check my cameras and other smart devices at home to see that everything is good on the home front, take care of business, maybe look up a website or two on the internet, and then shut everything down and get back to enjoying nature. So if you're using a lot of data, if you're really needing to be connected, this may not be the dish for you. The speed and latency of this dish depend on a lot of different things. First off, how clear is your sky? How open is it? Are you closed in, or do you have a lot of sky available to you? The more sky you have, the better you're going to have, because the dish can choose different satellites to communicate with and choose the one that's going to give you the best speed. Weather also affects this. This is still a radio system using radio signals, so obstructions can affect it. Weather, especially like clouds, you can drop out sometimes when there is a heavy rain or a lot of clouds in the sky. The Mini comes with 2 mounts in the package, and they both snap onto the back. One is a kickstand, which allows you to set it up, and if you have a level surface with a good view of the north, this is all you need. However, these picnic tables are rarely level and usually under the trees, so we don't have a clear sky. So what it also comes with is a pipe adapter. This is to mount the Starlink on a pipe. Any size pipe, I think up to 2 inch and a quarter to 2 inch will fit in here just by adjusting this screw. But what I did is I ordered from an online dealer a pipe adapter that allows me to slide this in here, lock it down, and then I can put my quick release plate off of my tripod system right into that threaded hole in the center, and this allows me to quickly and easily attach it to one of my Manfrotto tripod heads. So setting the Starlink up on a tripod with that anchor battery bank gives me the absolute most flexibility in setting this up at the campsite. If I don't get a good signal in one spot, I can simply pick the whole thing up and move it to another. It does take a little bit of time to connect. There is an app that guides you through the alignment, tells you whether you're offline, online, whether it's searching for satellites, if there's any obstructions. There's all sorts of good information and good feedback from the app. Now, if you're wondering why, if this is an internet device, it actually provides you internet, how do I make phone calls? Well, most of you have already figured that out. Wi-Fi calling. But for those of you who have never heard of it, it allows you to make phone calls with your cell phone over a Wi-Fi. You simply need to set your phone to be able to do that. Most phones today have that as a standard feature. However, if you have an old phone or a very basic phone, you may not have Wi-Fi calling. The easiest way to find out if you do is go to your settings and search for Wi-Fi calling. If your phone has it, it'll pop up. And if it has it, just go ahead and enter the information that it asks for. It needs your name and address and things like that. So if you use Wi-Fi to call, 911 can locate you. That is one downside, is this, if I called 911 from here, this may give the dispatcher my home address. So if you are using this in an emergency, make sure that the dispatcher knows exactly where you are and to not rely on that address that you put in when you activated Wi-Fi calling. There might be some carriers where you need to call your carrier to have that turned on. I can't say for sure if there are any or not, but there might be. So check with your carrier if you can't get Wi-Fi calling to work. One thing that I was always curious about until I tested it is, can I set this up inside my tent and get connected? And the answer is yes. Whatever material this is, plastic or polymer, whatever, it's invisible to radio signals. So is your tent. So I was able to set this up inside my tent with water from a rain in my tent and still get connected. So if you've got a way that you can set it up and get it positioned and oriented just right, you can get connected inside your tent. And in addition to all the other features that I've stated about this, there is one other feature that was a huge selling point for this particular dish. You can mount it to a vehicle. Yeah, the Mini is one of those Starlinks that Starlink allows you to put it on a vehicle and use it while you're going down the road. I don't remember what the maximum speed of it was, whether 80 or 100 miles an hour, but either way, I'm not going to be going that fast anyway. What I wanted was a quick release from my vehicle. So I got on Google and simply searched for Starlink Mini quick release. And I found all sorts of options. They were basically a frame that you bolted the antenna into, and then it either attached to the vehicle with magnets or suction cups. Both of those were unacceptable. I knew with suction cups, eventually water would migrate under this cup and break the seal, and after a couple years, the cheap plastic they make them out of is going to degrade and not hold a suction. So the next thing you know, off comes the Starlink. Magnets would probably hold better, but dirt and grime would get under the magnets no matter how soft of a cushion you put on them. Still, it's going to get grit and dirt under those magnets and those cushions, and it's just going to grind 4 nice, neat little circles into the finish of your paint. What I wanted was something that I could remove the Starlink, not the Starlink and the mount, just the Starlink. And after a lot of searching, I finally came up with something. This is the only quick release mount I could find for the Starlink Mini that does just what I want it to do. Releases the dish and not the entire mount. It works because it's got these brackets that are separated and they slide apart, undoing these 2 cantilevers. It slides back and forth. All I need to do is set my Starlink in there, plug it in, drop it down, push this bracket in, tighten the cams, and I'm ready to hit the road. Reverse the process when I want to remove it. It's that simple. If you're wondering how far from the dishy you can get with the internal Wi-Fi router and still get a signal, when I first started testing it, I set it up in a sports park near me, and I was able to go a good 600 feet watching a 4K video on my tablet, and I was still getting a stream that was not breaking up or getting blotchy or anything. Out here, my friend Goofy J, when he did his live stream, he was able to go about 120 feet over the hill down to the river without much problem. Setting it up in our campsite, I can go, I think I went like 250, 300 feet down the road here, and still was able to get a good signal. Not the best, but still be able to receive it, so I could probably still make a phone call or send a text message. So a lot is going to be variable, but I think it does better than my home Wi-Fi, where I can't even walk across the street and pick it up. One other thing to be aware of if you have a Samsung phone. This is not anything to do with Starlink, it's Samsung phones. It may apply to other manufacturers, I don't know, but specifically for Samsung, I found out something. If you have intermittent Wi-Fi, which you would when you're using it like I do, you just turn it on, use it, and shut the Starlink off. Samsung considers that an intermittent Wi-Fi signal, and what it will do is it will automatically turn off Wi-Fi calling. No notification, it just does it. Unfortunately, that's probably something what Samsung is never going to address. That's typical of big tech. They find a little bug like that, and they don't care. So it's very aggravating to fire up the Starlink, go to make a phone call, and I get a message something about this device is not on a registered network. Took me the longest time to find out why. The phone shuts Wi-Fi calling off. So when you do fire it up, make sure your Wi-Fi calling is turned on. There are some downsides to this system as well. As I mentioned earlier, it does not like strictly connected to an automotive 12-volt system, especially when the engine is running, because the voltage goes up and down, and that causes connectivity issues. So if you plug it into the cigarette lighter, expect to get dropped. Given that this is a very compact and lightweight system in its own right, I can see where somebody might want to take it into the backcountry for emergency use. However, if you don't have it activated before you leave, you cannot use the dish alone to connect and reactivate your service. You have to have service before you leave, because in order to activate service or resume service after a pause, you have to receive a two-factor authorization code, and you can only do that when you're already connected, either by cell phone or you have another Wi-Fi you can pick up somewhere, but you can't just turn this on with the app alone. And for those of you who are thinking, well, if this does internet and calls, why do I need internet service at home, and why do I need my cell phone service? Why not just transfer it all to this? Well, you might be able to get to it in a permanent location like your house or business, but the problem with canceling your cell phone service is you need a phone number from your cell phone company. Without that number, nobody can call you. And the only number you're going to be able to call, at least in the United States, is 911. You won't be able to get and receive text messages. Yeah, you'll be able to connect to the internet. But even something like this, if you're thinking about moving around with it and canceling your cell service, you're going to be carrying this and the cord and the power supply, which at best may last you about 4 hours to be able to make it work. And it's not going to work everywhere. It's only going to work when you have an open sky. It's not going to work when you're sitting at the office. It's not going to work when you go to the grocery store. It's not going to work when you go to your kids' play at school. It's not going to go working when you go to the bank. It's not going to work indoors. So you still need cell service to make this work to get Wi-Fi calling. And finally, if you do find one that's used, which is perfectly fine, Starlink doesn't care. Don't think that you're just going to buy a dish and activate it, because it's already registered to somebody else. You can get it registered in your information with your account, but it has to be transferred from the seller's end. So if you buy a used one, make sure that you stipulate that you will buy it only if that person transfers service to you. So you're probably wondering, well, what kind of speeds can I expect from this? I can't answer that. It's totally dependent on where you're using it, the weather, how much unobstructed sky you have, and where the satellites are in the sky. Because they are kind of in a low Earth orbit. They're not stationary like old geostationary communication satellites are. They're in a low Earth orbit. They're constantly moving. So speed depends a lot on that. Cloud cover can affect it. Even being in the trees like this can affect it. However, my overall thoughts are it's definitely worth looking into, if not this particular type of dish, but a Starlink as well. This video is not about Elon Musk, it's not about SpaceX, it's not about Tesla, it's not about DOGE, it's about what Starlink brings to the table. I would personally recommend it to anybody who is considering getting connected out in the wild, out in the field, where there is no cell service. Going down the road, there are places I don't have cell service, even with the booster. This picks it right up. I don't think we've ever been out of cell phone calling going down the road. Yes, this is adaptable to be mobile, but since it's constantly moving and tilting and everything else, you may not get the speeds out of it that you would expect sitting here on a table or on a tripod. But it's still fast enough to make phone calls, to get text messages. So on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give this a 10 because it does more than I expected to do. I originally just wanted to be able to make a phone call back here in the backcountry. Not only that, I can connect to the internet. I can check emails, voicemails, text messages, get on the internet, check my bank balance. I can check my cameras at home. All these are pluses. So I would definitely recommend somebody look into this if you're interested in staying connected. I know some people want to get away from that, but myself, I can't afford to sometimes. So I'm going to recommend a Starlink if you're interested in something like this. This is Backpack Hack coming at you with this trail tip. Be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Be safe out there, and I'll see you and maybe talk to you in the next video.